Have you ever stopped to think about where everything around you actually comes from? I mean, really think about it. Today, we're going to dive deep into the very foundation of our world, natural resources. It's a story about our shared inheritance and our really complex relationship with it.
So, let's start with a little thought experiment. Just look around you right now. Think about the phone in your hand, the shirt you're wearing, maybe even the walls of the room you're in. What's the one thing, the one thread that connects all of them to a place like a forest?
You got it. They all start their journey as natural resources. Yep, even the plastics and the weird synthetic materials. If you trace them back far enough, their story begins in nature. But that brings up a really important point. When does a part of nature, like a rock or a tree, officially become a resource?
Well, for something to be called a resource, it has to check three boxes. First, we need the technology to get to it. Second, it has to make economic sense to use it. And third, it has to be culturally acceptable for us to use it. So you see, a resource isn't just there. It's something we define by our ability and our choice to use it.
This idea leads us to a really cool way of thinking about all resources. It's like nature operates on two completely different clocks. One ticks at a speed we can understand, a human timescale. The other, well, that one ticks on a geological timescale. And that changes everything.
On one side, you've got your renewable resources. These guys are on that fast clock. Think about the sun, which comes up every day, or the wind, or force that can grow back within a lifetime. But then, on the other side, you have the non-renewables. They're on that super slow clock. We're talking coal, oil, minerals, things that took literally millions of years to form. Once we use them up, they're gone for good, at least for us.
And this quote just nails the whole idea of renewables, doesn't it? The innate wisdom of nature. She's the ultimate recycler. A forest bounces back from a fire, a river keeps flowing. It's this beautiful, cyclical system that's designed to restore and reuse, all ticking along on that fast clock.
So here's the billion-dollar question. What happens when our demand, our consumption, starts moving faster than nature's fast clock? You know, when we cut down trees faster than they can grow, or pull water out of the ground faster than the rain can fill it back up.
And to make things even trickier, there's another huge factor. These resources aren't spread out evenly, not even close. It's basically a giant geographical lottery. Some places hit the jackpot, others don't. And to really see what that looks like, let's zoom in on one country for a second.
Let's take a look at India. You can see right away how these key resources are packed into very specific spots. You've got rich iron ore in places like Goa, massive coal reserves in the Jharia fields, and oil being pumped from way offshore at Mumbai High. And this pattern, it's the same all over the globe.
Now, this uneven map has had massive, world-shaping consequences. It literally dictates where we build our cities. For centuries, it has fueled global trade and the rise and fall of empires. It creates incredible economic opportunities, but, and this is a big but, it also sparks bitter conflicts and international tension.
But here's where the story takes a really weird turn. You'd think that winning this resource lottery, having tons of oil or diamonds, would be a one-way ticket to prosperity, right? Well, sometimes the exact opposite happens, and economists have a fascinating name for it. It's called the natural resource curse. I know, it sounds totally backwards, but it's this very real paradox where countries that are overflowing with natural resources can actually end up with slower economic growth. How? Well, often the country gets so hooked on selling that one thing that it forgets to build up other parts of its economy, which makes it incredibly vulnerable. And to see how this curse can play out, even with a resource you'd think is renewable, like water, we're going to look at a powerful and kind of tragic case study. The groundwater crisis in the super fertile plains of Punjab, India.
So how did this happen? Well, it was like a series of dominoes falling. First, new high-yield crops were introduced, which was great for food production, but they were incredibly thirsty. So farmers started pumping way more groundwater. Then, free electricity was provided, which just supercharged the whole process. And the end result? The underground aquifers were drained, and the water that was left got polluted by all the chemical fertilizers.
The scale of this problem today is just staggering. 80%. That's the percentage of Punjab's area that is now officially classified as overexploited for groundwater. I mean, just let that sink in. A region known for centuries as the breadbasket of India, a symbol of agricultural abundance, is now facing a devastating water crisis that it brought upon itself.
So, is that it? Is this just a story of decline? Not even close. Because this is not the whole story. There are incredible examples of people and communities who are actively choosing a different way forward, a path of what you might call stewardship.
For that, let's take a trip to the state of Sikkim. They were facing a similar problem. Their soil was getting wrecked by all the chemical farming. So they made a bold, almost radical decision. They decided to go 100% organic. The whole state.
And the results? They were a game changer. Just look at this. Farmers' incomes actually went up, by a lot. Biodiversity came roaring back as the ecosystem started to heal itself. And a whole new wave of ecotourism created even more jobs and growth. It was a win-win-win.
And this idea, this mindset of stewardship, it doesn't just work for a single state's farms. You can scale it up to a whole nation's energy policy. And a fantastic example of that is what India is doing with solar power right now.
I mean, think about it. Instead of just relying on its finite coal reserves, that slow clock, India is going all in on its most abundant resource, sunshine. It co-founded the International Solar Alliance, bringing other sunny countries together. It's building these massive, jaw-dropping solar parks. It's showing the world what a real transition away from fossil fuels can actually look like. When you really boil it all down, the organic farmer in Sikkim and the solar engineer in the desert are connected by the same mindset. It's this idea of stewardship. It's an ancient concept, actually, captured by the term lokasangraha, which basically means acting not just for your own good, but for the well-being of everyone, of the whole world. And that brings us right back to where we started, with the stuff all around us. The phone, the clothes, everything. They all come from our planet's shared inheritance. So the final question, really, is for you to think about. In your own life, what does being a good steward of these incredible resources actually look like? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.